Columbia, Yale, now at NYU, happening everywhere. Anti-Jewish protest, basically calling for Jews to be wiped out, Jews to be exterminated. When this happened at Charlottesville, and there was a protest that occurred surrounding a Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville, Virginia, just off the UVA campus, we had a national conversation. Trump was dragged for his personal responsibility associated with this. Joe Biden lied and said that, or bought into the very fine people lie. That is a lie that has been widely distributed, that Trump called Nazis very fine people. He didn't. He specifically condemned Nazis, but he said the truth, that there are very fine people on both sides of whether we should be tearing down monument debates. I'm on the side of don't tear them down. I wrote about it in my book. Oh, I don't know how the book somehow ended up outside of the video purview here. Let me adjust this in the meantime. I wrote about it in my book, American Playbook, #1 best-selling nonfiction book, American Playbook, in America for the week that it was released in I think it came out in August of last year. I wrote about this in my book. I'm in favor of more historical context, more knowledge of history in general. And as a part of that, I think there should be a discussion surrounding what happened in 2020, all of the monuments getting torn down. To me, that was a failure of American history. And it's interesting, though, that we have seen Biden lied and said, oh, the reason why I had to run for president was because of what happened in Charlottesville. But since Charlottesville, under Biden's watch, since October 7th of last year, 1,200 innocent Jewish people killed by Hamas terrorists because they're Jewish, the largest loss of life of Jewish people since the Holocaust. We have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of protests arise all over the country. And right now there are protesters, in particular on Columbia and Yale's campus. We know it happened at Harvard. They fired their president over it. We know it happened at University of Pennsylvania. They fired their president over it. And now, to his credit, New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft has seen what is happening here, and he is saying, hey, I'm not going to allow my money to be spent on any kind of support for what is going on here until I believe Jewish students are safe. I'm withholding all of the donations that I have made to Columbia. And I'll read what Patriots owner Robert Kraft put out earlier. It was through the full academic scholarship Columbia gave me that I was able to attend college and get my start in life. And for that, I have been tremendously grateful. However, the school I love so much, the one that welcomed me and provided me with so much opportunity, is no longer an institution I recognize. I am deeply saddened at the virulent hate that continues to grow on campus and throughout our country. I'm no longer confident Columbia can protect its students and staff, and I am not comfortable supporting the university until corrective action is taken. It's my hope that Columbia and its leadership will stand up to this hate by ending these protests immediately and will work to earn back the respect and trust of the many of us who have lost faith in the institution. It's my hope that in this difficult time, the Kraft Center at Columbia will serve as a source of security and safety for all Jewish students and faculty on campus who want to gather peacefully to practice their religion, to be together, and to be welcomed. Robert Kraft, founder of the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism, Stand Up to Jewish Hate. I think it's well said by Robert Kraft. I think it's very interesting, the question that I would ask: why are so many on the left so unwilling to condemn anti-Semitism? And if you wonder what exactly is going on here, I flagged this while I was gone. After Iran launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel, they had a vote which you would think is not a very controversial vote to have. They had a House of Representatives vote, and they voted 404 to 14 to condemn Iran's attack on Israel. 13 Democrats voted no. Democratic no's: Jamal Bowman from New York, fire escape puller; Cori Bush from Missouri. She employed her husband as a security guard and paid him lots of money in campaign funds. Greg Casar, Jonathan Jackson, Pramila Jayapal, Hank Johnson. Hank Johnson, remember, I think he said that Guam was going to tip over the island if they had too much weight on it. These are really brilliant people. Barbara Lee, Summer Lee, AOC, Ilhan Omar, whose daughter, I believe, was arrested at Columbia and is a student there right now, Ayanna Pressley, Delia Ramirez, and Rashida Tlaib. They refuse to condemn Iran directly attacking Israel. Now, a lot of the things that they vote on in the House of Representatives, I think, is very unnecessary because a lot of times they just have show votes. But the fact that 13 Democrats, all of whom's name I just read for you, refuse to condemn Iran attacking Israel, pretty good sign that those Democrats do not believe Israel should exist. And the question that I would ask for Jewish people out there is twofold. How in the world can you vote for the Democrat Party in 2024? That's question one. It is many of the Democrat Party stalwarts now are anti-Semites. Two, and this builds on that, I think, in a significant fashion. So one, how can you possibly vote for Democrats in 2024? And two, have you now recognized that the way that we have created this identity politics coalition, I told you this a while ago, Jewish people are seen as white. So despite the fact that Jews are the victims of a brutal terror attack on October 7th, and despite the fact that Iran is attacking Israel and that Israel is trying to defend itself against the Hamas terrorists, none of that matters. Even the fact that Jews have been historically stalwart allies of black and brown oppressed people in the United States going back to the civil rights movement and beyond, none of that matters because Jewish people are seen as white. And if Jewish people are seen as white, that means it is impossible for them to be victims. They are colonizers. They are the oppressors. They are the bad guy in this broken identity politics coalition that the left has created in America. Have you seen that yet? I told you it was coming. I saw it in the world of sports. It was eminently predictable that it was going to take over all of America. I write about it. Identity politics in conjunction with cancel culture is, in my opinion, the dual toxic cancerous foundations at the heart of so much American toxicity today. We have protests right now, anti-Israel in nature, that are taking place all over the country. By and large, those protests are fixated in left-wing states, blue cities. How did we enter a world where Joe Biden just a couple of years ago said, I'm running for president because of an anti-Semitic protest in Charlottesville? I think it has revealed the soul of the nation to be in danger. I'm paraphrasing, and probably far more eloquent than Biden himself can be today. Yet, right now, Biden has got protests that are anti-Israel happening all over the country on left-wing protests, such that Columbia had to shut down in-person schooling for the remainder of the year. NYU has got them. We know we've had issues at Harvard and the University of Pennsylvania and MIT. What's interesting is, by and large, this is not happening in red states. And I tweeted about this. And some of you said, well, Vanderbilt's had an issue. Rice may have an issue. I'm sure at some point Duke, Emory may have issues because they have a lot of East Coast kids. Vanderbilt actually handled this, I thought, perfectly. They said, you have a right to protest. You don't have a right to occupy student school grounds, and you don't have a right to commit crimes. They actually got multiple kids prosecuted and suspended over 20 kids for violating the Vanderbilt student code, and the protests by and large have not been significant since. Rice is now dealing with their own issue. I feel like the Rice administration will probably handle this. This is important. Anti-Semitism, anti-Israel protests are primarily right now located in blue states and on blue campuses in blue cities. Why is Joe Biden not aggressively condemning this? Instead, yesterday, he came out and said, basically, both sides have an argument. Well, that's what he said was unacceptable in Charlottesville, except he lied about what Trump said when he claimed, this was a part of the very fine people hoax, right? Trump didn't say that Nazis were very fine people or that anti-Jewish protesters were very fine people. He actually said there were very fine people on both sides of an argument about what should happen with a Robert E. Lee statue, which I think is true. Personally, I don't think we should be pulling down statues. I don't think we should be removing American history. That's my opinion. You can disagree with that and still be a reasonable person, in my opinion. But if Biden said the soul of the nation is at stake because of what we saw at Charlottesville, he's actually failed. Because now we're seeing Charlottesville replicated hundreds or thousands of times. And I think this is very important. If Mexico invaded the United States, a cartel group did, and killed 1,200 Americans and took over 100 Americans hostage, as I have been saying for months, we would rain down holy hell upon the Mexican cartel that was responsible for that. And there might well be innocent civilian casualties. But no one with a functional brain in America would say, you know what, the American response is too much. Most people would say, yeah, we got to defend our borders. We have to defend our people. You killed 1,200 innocent Americans and you kidnapped over 100 of them. We would rain down holy hell upon you. Look at what our response was to 9/11 when we were attacked. Israel has the right to defend itself. They have been attacked. The most devastating, deadly attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust. This is not a both sides issue. Israel's in the right, Hamas is in the wrong, and Israel deserves the right to defend itself to the utmost. The fact that so many American kids, students at high-end educational institutions can't understand that is a failure of America right now at Joe Biden's feet. Either you believe, as I do, that Israel has the right to defend itself, or you are, I believe, falling victim to the woke virus. Yesterday, I went on Fox News. Some of you may have seen the clip that I shared. Some of you may have seen it live. I said, if a cartel crossed our southern border, and I've been saying this for months, but it went a little bit viral yesterday. If a cartel crosses our southern border, and if they had killed 1,200 Americans in Texas or Arizona or California or anywhere else across our southern border, if they had come into our country, killed 1,200 Americans, taken over 100 Americans hostage, and gone back to Mexico, whether it was the Mexican government, whether it was a cartel group, whoever was responsible for that, we would rain down holy hell upon them. And there might be innocent casualties. Now, Hamas has elected Gaza as their representative. But I'm even using as an example here just a Mexican cartel or some terror group. We would rain down holy hell upon them, and there might be some quote-unquote innocent victims. Anyone who said that the United States did not have an ability to defend ourselves after 1,200 of our citizens were killed and after over 100 of them were captured would be an imbecile, in my opinion. That is what many kids are saying now on American campuses. They are wrong, It is a time for choosing. It's also a time for acknowledging that American speech codes are broken. If there were people on a college campus with tents taking over quads, chanting attacks on black people, every one of those kids would be immediately arrested and they would all be expelled instantaneously. If they were putting their tents out and they were saying death to trans people, death to gay people, they would be expelled immediately and they would be arrested. The faculty at those schools would never line up in support of anybody chanting death to gay people or death to black people or death to Hispanic people, whatever the group might be. There are many groups right now chanting death to Israel, chanting from the river to the sea, supporting Hamas, the people of Gaza, Palestinians, however you want to classify them, as if they are the victim here. And the reason why they're doing it is in this broken identity politics mindset, which I've written a lot about in this book and my last book. I saw this all coming through the prism of sports. They see Jewish people as white colonizers and oppressors, and therefore, even though Jewish people are the victims and have been the victims for thousands of years and were nearly eradicated during World War II within the living memory of many people still alive today, and even though we just saw the most deadly attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust, even though all that has happened, right now, there are people highly educated in theory, professors and students on campuses all over America, arguing that the Palestinians are the victims, that the people of Hamas are the victims. They're wrong. I'm sorry, it's a time for choosing. And you either have to accept that Israel has the right to defend itself and to eradicate the terrorists who would eradicate them if they could, or you have to acknowledge that you are in favor of the eradication of the Jewish people. Those are the options. There's no middle ground here. Israel was attacked. Israel has the right to defend itself, just as the United States did after 9/11, just as the United States did after Pearl Harbor. That's what happened to Israel. I'm sorry, this is not a difficult decision. What we are seeing is there are many people on the left who are anti-Semitic. I was raised in a Southern Baptist household in Nashville, Tennessee. And I was raised with the idea, just being fully transparent, that Jewish people were the best people on earth because Jesus was a Jew. All of my grandparents told me, and I didn't even know any Jewish people for a long time, Jewish people are the finest people that have ever existed in the history of the world. My grandfather, Richard Fox, and my grandmother, Ruth Fox, took a trip to Israel, I think before I was born, to visit the Holy Land, and came back and taught me when I was a little kid, Jewish people are the greatest people who've ever existed in the history of the world. So I understand there is anti-Semitism. I was actually raised the exact opposite. Before I even knew a Jewish person, I was raised on pro-Jew. As many Southern evangelicals and as many evangelicals in general are who grew up in religious households that believe in Jesus. Jesus was a Jew. The Jewish people are amazing. I know there are anti-Semites on the right. I believe, and have long said, that if you are judging anybody based on their identity, you are behaving, I believe, in a wrong fashion. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, Jewish, Protestant, Muslim, whatever your religion is, we have to destroy identity politics. And I think what you're seeing is the left is so taken over by identity politics that they have lost the ability to see truth, and also they have lost the ability to honestly recognize good and evil. Terrorists are evil. Those who would murder, rape, decapitate babies are not the good people. They should be eradicated from the earth. Whether they are gay, straight, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whether they're Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever they are, evil is as evil does. Hamas is evil. Israel has the right to defend itself, period. Anyone protesting otherwise, I believe, has lost the ability to see truth from fiction and good from evil, which is a major issue.